Hello, good evening, and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. As you can see, yet again, Ian Fortune is absent. He is off getting his tan done in the local chartbusters in preparation for the Irish Greyhound Derby, which starts on the 28th of this month. They will need an awful lot of tan to cover Ian, but he will be back next Monday evening. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Sarah Kinsella of BoyleSports and Tommy Lyons, as usual, of a Monday. Folks, you are very welcome indeed. Starting, of course, at Shelbourne Park and the final of the Champion Stakes, sponsored by BoyleSports. Sarah, you were there on Saturday night. We must say, Trinity Junior, he was a most deserving winner. He was a finalist in the Racing Push Greyhound TV Juvenile Derby. He was a finalist in the Easter Cup, a finalist in the St. Leger, and he got his just desserts here on Saturday night.
He did, yeah. It was a brilliant night. Look, I've always kind of known that dog could do something special like that, but we've all been sort of waiting. He's been getting to all these finals, as you've touched on there, but Peter was thrilled. The connections were thrilled. Sure, why wouldn't you be? Like, it's all roads now to the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. I wasn't expecting him to do as good of a time. I mean, he was 20-1 to win that at the start of the competition, so he probably wasn't really rated with some of the top dogs that was in that. And of course, we were missing a lot of the even topper dogs because they were in the English Greyhound Derby. So the Champion Stakes turned out to be pretty good considering a lot of the dogs were across the pond. So it was overall, it was a very, very good competition. We were delighted as sponsors, to be sponsoring it yet again, and a terrific result on the night. So what more can you say? Like, I just think he's now, I think, 20-1 from 50-1 to win the Derby. Damo cut him straight after the race. He was on the blower to me straight away, because I was literally just about to go on RPGTV, and he said, cut that dog into 20s. So I'd say there'd be plenty of people getting on. And the owner, actually, when we were getting our photo taken, he says to me, I got 20-1 on this dog, but you're only offering 16. He says, you'll have to do a better price when the Derby comes around. I was like, yeah, get on to Damo there. Says, I don't take any complaints about the betting. Sorry about that.
He should have got on before the final. He would have got a bit of 50s. Tommy, you know, if you see in Peter's interview after the race, he more or less said it was the trap draw that won it for him. But look, he's a classy dog on his day. I probably have no doubt if the traps were reversed, if Scaglietti wasn't one or Kobe wasn't one, we could have had a different result. But it was to be Trinity Junior's day.
Yeah, I fancy Scaglietti, but I knew there was a concern that maybe Trinity Junior might just be up inside him at the bend or going to the bend and just cause him enough trouble to kind of. I thought Scaglietti's run in the semi-finals was a kind of a coming of age kind of an effort. I thought it was the first sign that he might be a Derby dog. There was potential there previously, but it's just you have to go and show it. Shelbourne Park 550 against other potential Derby dogs. But Trinity Junior was like, there's a lot to like about how brave he was at the first bend and how he drove through. He has quite a bit of experience. He's been on the go a while in the sense, I think it did stand to him. He was very good. He was very good in the semi-finals, but the draw was just ideal. You have to make the most of it too. I wouldn't like to take too much away from him or put too much on that, because I think it was kind of a race. It was a race where I struggled to fancy anything else apart from the top two, and I thought whichever them might get in front, and I suppose it always favoured Trinity Junior. 29-34 isn't a surprise. I say the track has probably been very good, Nick. Just looking at the other times, particularly Clonbrien Treaty's time, I found that difficult to understand at 29:51, considering he missed it so badly. But I wasn't surprised at the time, because we've been watching Trinity Junior for quite a while and watching him at the top level, and he's a seriously fast dog. Where it puts us in terms of the Derby, I don't really know. I haven't yet put him into my picture as a potential Derby winner, but maybe the early rounds might change my mind. I think it's a step up. I don't think it was deep enough. The final was deep enough to say, hey, there's the dog that's going to jump, raise his hand and said, I'm a potential Derby winner. I'm not certain yet.
You're on mute, Baz.
I beg your pardon. I just think the time was very good on Saturday night, 29:34. I think before Saturday night we hadn't seen a run like that. Although the Gaytime dog earlier on in the evening, I think he was the fastest of the year then so far. But look, I thought it was a good run. He was in danger, Tommy, of becoming sort of the Jimmy White of Greyhound Racing, really, wasn't he? 3 times finalist in all those big events. So it was a well-deserved success.
Also, well-deserved success, and he's a seriously fast dog. We saw that in a couple of the rounds of the Juvenile Derby. I seem to stick out in my mind for some reason. He's seriously fast, and you always thought that, like you say, Jimmy White and nearly dog that he'd either get to a final, and then you kind of we weren't really fancying him in finals, if you know what I mean. And that kind of says, you know, he's of a certain ability and
Yeah,
he's a
he's
certain
been in
class.
some
So,
good finals though. When you look at what beat him in them finals, he was going
oh,
against the top of the pops. Like.
but you know, there must be an immense satisfaction from Peter Cronin's point of view to get him across the line in such a big race. That you know when you've brought the dog to where you've done everything right with the dog all throughout his career, got him as far as you could in each competition, and just things aren't right for you, don't go right for you, or you're beaten by seriously fast dogs. He just must have had immense pride and satisfaction in the fact that Trinity Junior did it the other day. I thought the other Kobe ran a super race. When he inherited second place around the first two bends, he really went and chased Trinity Junior. Got it down to, I'd say, maybe 3 parts of a length, certainly a length anyway, at one stage. And that I think the effort just kind of told late, and Trinity Junior sees out the 550 very well. So I thought the runner up ran a super race as well.
Yeah, he did run a cracking race. But just finishing up on Trinity Junior, Sarah. Look, he must be a real competition dog. I think at the start of his career, he won a £10,000 on race stake, and then all the other competitions he's entered in, he's got to the final. So he does have real competition pedigree. Of the other, Sarah, the other Kobe, look, he's sort of known as a short runner, but there was a moment turning off the last bend that you were thinking, surely not, wasn't there?
I never had my doubts once Trinity was in front, because the other Kobe, I kind of have a weird love affair with this dog. I love him and then I hate him. He does something special and really impresses me, and then he disappoints me. And that's the reason why I didn't tip him, because I know he was favoured initially when this market went, when the trap draw was made. The other Kobe was just slight favourite. But I actually tipped up Scaglietti in the race because I thought he would have the early gears. And looking back now, it was a silly move really with Trinity Junior in trap one. But I hope Scaglietti's okay. I know he got up and finished the race, which is obviously a very good sign. But you don't like to see that happening to them, especially coming into the big competition. So I'd imagine maybe Guilfoyle will give him a solo before the Derby or keep him off. I don't know, but I do think a lot of Scaglietti. I really do. And it's unfortunate we didn't get to see his true running. But yeah, Hawkfield Blue as well. Like, that's a dog that needs to lead. He got trouble at the bend. Droopy's nice one. Have we seen the best of her? I don't know if she's as good as she was. I don't know if that's fair to say or not. And BoyleSports Gift, hit and miss. That dog has to lead. That's as simple as that. But in saying that, did fly home in the semi-finals. So I don't know. I can't make my mind up about that dog either. So all in all, I think Trinity was the most deserving winner of the 20,000. When you think about it, lads, 20 grand for 2 runs. Like, it's serious prize money. So yeah, who knows now what he's gonna do. Will he win the Derby? I don't think so. But he'll go far for sure. I just don't think he's up there with the Swords Rex and the Clonard Duke and the Clonbrine Treaty and the Ballinbola Ed, and the list goes on and on and on. I don't think he's up there with them. But who knows, by September 2nd, I might have to eat my words. But I think I'm safe to say I don't think Trinity Junior will win a Derby.
Sure, it's safe to say that Scaglietti and Hawkfield Blue, although we didn't see them after the race the next morning, they did seem to go past the line with a fair amount of gusto anyway. So hopefully those two are all right. As Sarah did say, it's not ideal coming into the competition. It's more a confidence thing than an injury. But Tommy, of the rest of the runners, BoyleSports Gift and Droopy's nice one. Droopy's nice one. She picked a bad night to miss the break because there was plenty of room on the run to the corner. But when she started like that, she was never going to have any chance. She was well supported on the night, and a lot of people fancied her.
Yeah, I think I was actually chatting to Ian on Saturday afternoon, and he was giving her a good chance. Thought the 10 was a bit big. She ran okay. I think that's probably as good as I can say about it. She ran okay. Missed the kick, left herself in. You know, you're not going to come from way off to pay 29.34 anyway. And BoyleSports Gifts held her all the way to the line. I wasn't sure that would happen when I was watching the race live. Yeah, she ran fine. She's been a terrific bitch, so she really has, you know, for connections. She doesn't know anybody, and it's hard to kind of maintain at that level when you're taking on dogs as well, you know, on a consistent basis. It's difficult to kind of to maintain it over a long period of time. I think she's been terrific for Mert and for John Coleman. It'd be interesting to see how she gets on in this year's Derby. I assume that she's just going to go there now, but you know, she wouldn't be on the short list by any means.
Yeah, BoyleSports Gift, sorry, as Sarah did say, he is at best when he's able to lead. But the night did belong to Tim Slevin, Trinity Junior, Mikey, and Paul Crowan. So congratulations to those guys. I'm sure if all 6 are okay, they will go for the upcoming BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. And I'm sure every one of them will be very, very short in their first round heat indeed. Also on Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, we had the semi-finals of the Corn Cuchulainn Tommy, the first semi-final was won by Garfinney Blaze for Graham Holland. He's 4 from 4 now over the trip. Again, 41-20. You have to mention the runner-up here, Newport Pier. Ran an absolute blinder. You were just waiting for them to outpace her, going past the stand, waiting for them to outpace her down the far side, and waiting for them to blow her away coming home. And she ran an absolute cracker. She's only won the one race in her career. I think that was an A2 around Galway. She ran a blinder. And Ballymac back in tour. Didn't happen for McNeil. Sort of missed the break. He would have been better if he had got off the front. But Garfinney Blaze, he's a real exciting one over 6 pence.
Yeah. It was. There were terrific runs by the first and second. As you said, Newport Pier. If the race had been won in 41.50, you would have been saying, look at the winner kind of underperformed a little bit. Newport Pier excelled, but it was won in 41.20, and Newport Pier kept the lead basically to the last bend, where just kind of Garfinney Blaze asserted along the inside. Like the winners are a really good dog, but I tell you, Newport Pier is interesting because it was 25-1 or something like that the other night, and it'll probably be something similar the next night. But just wouldn't be surprised if it popped out again and led. But it's a red hot competition. It's a red hot competition, and Garfinney Blaze is entitled to improve. I actually fancied him the other night for the reason that I thought the setup of the race looked pretty similar to the previous round, and I just thought it would prove too strong in the end for maybe McNeil, who I thought might get off the front. But when McNeil missed it, you thought when McNeil missed it and kind of got chopped up at the first bend a little bit, you thought Garfinney Blaze will win as it likes now. So it was actually good that it turned into a proper race. And in fairness to the winner, had to put out the stop. So you like to see that too. You like to see that they're pushed hard, and will do it week in, week out.
Yeah, look, he was very good. Sarah, what's your thoughts on Garfinney Blaze? Of course, Ballymac, she's probably the one real stayer left in the race. She'd be coming from way off the pace, but it's hard not to be taken by Garfinney Blaze with his running style.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like when you look at his card, right? He trialled initially, I think, back in October. Has only actually had his first race in May, and is now in the final of the Corn Cuchulainn. Like I don't know my history books that well, but I can't imagine there's many puppies that have won the Corn Cuchulainn. Like he's not 2 until September. That's a tremendous effort, and again, like I know I'm talking about Graham Holland, but like the man is just sensational, and his kennel is. I would love to have a walk around that kennel, because every kennel you'd go to is just a superstar after superstar after superstar. But I've really fallen in love with this dog. I thought he was very impressive, considering, again, his age and his lack of experience, to be able to do that and to dig deep and to just drive on and pull away from them, win by 2 lengths over 6 bends, like at 13.65. It's a great sectional, like, do you know what I mean? And he's improving every week. I know he was maybe 5 spots slower last week than his previous week, but I wouldn't mind that. I think he's the one to beat. What did you say earlier on? He's in trap 1 in the final.
Has won the final, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got an excellent chance, but I think there's just so much more to come from him. Unfortunately, then, like, would the Derby trip maybe be too short for him? I don't know, but you'd like to see him running it, wouldn't you? You like to see what happens.
I think it's the logical step. You see it so many times. Like College Causeway won a Derby coming back from 6 bends. Westmeath Auckland the same, and on the UK. And look, Patrick O'Cora last year, Priceless Jet went so close. So look, I think it's the logical step. Where else are you going to go? The only thing I will say about Garfinney Blaze, if they were stuck for a few quid, he's eligible to run in A2 competition. So I'm sure they'd nick 1 or 2 of those around the country.
There you go.
even over 575. So if you have one lined up for an L 575 stake in Shelbourne Park that's A2, just beware, because Garfinney Blaze could turn up. But again, Newport Pier ran a cracker in 2nd place, and Ballymac took the final qualifying place back in third. The second semi-final was billed as a battle between the 2 bitches, 365 and Kinturk Road. I had a good chat with Scott Phelan before the races, 365. It was probably the biggest race they were involved in. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way. She just had no luck. She couldn't get past Kinturk Road early on, and then she had a battle with Hanover Phantom and just failed to qualify. But I'm sure, like you just mentioned, Sarah, 365, she might go back for a tilt at the Derby. She has 28.40 over 525 on a couple of occasions. But Kinturk Road, Sarah, once she led, very, very hard to beat, and 41.02. It's one of the best runs we've ever seen around Shelbourne Park.
Yeah, I was. Mum and Dad came with me on Saturday night. They made their rare appearance to Shelbourne Park. They're always in Dundalk nowadays, and Dad was blown away. He was like, he's never seen a dog that fast over the 6 bends in the flesh. That's the words he said to me. He said that's a sensational performance, and it really was. Liam Dowling is fantastic with these staying bitches. Like, he's so good. Like, watching her in the flesh, like when you're actually watching, it didn't look like they were going that fast. Do you understand me? Like when the clock came up, I was like, Jesus, that's unreal. Like, for 41.02, again, I think she's a puppy as well. She doesn't turn 2 until September, but she has a good bit of experience on her card, considering her age. So yeah, look, I think it's going to be a cracking final. I am going to stick with Garfinny, but that performance from Kinturk Road, I was actually on Radio Kerry on Saturday, and because they love their dogs down there, and they're always promoting the Kerry runners with Jack Keneally, with Beeper's Lariat and Liam Dowling. So mostly when you go on the radio for Radio Kerry, it's just Liam Dowling, Liam Dowling, Liam Dowling. And I had said to them, he'll have a double. He'll have Kinturk Road and Ballymac Waltz. So I hope the people down in Kerry that were listening back to them, because look, she was 6-4. I thought that was a tremendous price, great value. So yeah, all in all, a very, very good performance. But sure, the same from the second, Hacco Carlo, like for Pat Buckley, another puppy as well. What's going on with this competition? There's so many puppies in it, like it's unreal, isn't it? The future's bright with all these youngsters.
One that's not a puppy, Tommy, is Hanover Phantom for the McDonoughs. I'd give this fella a bit of a chance in the final. I know he's going to be a big, big price. He's well drawn, I think, in trap number 2. Like, he's a 550 Galway track record holder, and he's yet to get off the front over 750. So you'd be thinking, if you're setting a dog up who's a track record holder over 550, his running style is going to be away he goes, and hopefully he has the stamina to see it out. He hasn't yet got to the front, and he still managed to clock a 41.40 on the competition. I think he'd be a big price. I think he's got a bit of a chance. But Kinturk Road, she was no superstar over 4 bends, Tommy. I think she was maybe A2 or A3, but she's really stepped up her game since gone over to 6 bends.
Actually, she went through the Deadly Kennels unbeaten, but in the Open 750 in Curraheen Park before she came here. She looked. I was a bit surprised with the way the draw was on Saturday night, that she wasn't clear favourite. I just thought it favoured her. She's the 41.02. You think when you do 41.02, which is the joint best time since the track record was set back in 2019. I think Magic and Poppy did the same last year. Like, you think when you do that, you're going to win by 4 or 5 lengths, and it's going to be a bit of a rout in 41.2. Should we hack a Carlo by a length?
Yeah, huge run.
And that's what tells me we've got 2 greyhounds going into the final next week who are unbeaten in the competition. We have Kinturk Road is unbeaten in 6 consecutive runs over 750, and it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that neither will win the final. Like, you could start making cases for a few others. You've made a case for Hanover Phantom already. Hacco Carlo is in superb form. Newport Pier has the early pace. Whether it'll definitely clear Kinturk Road, I'm not so sure. But Kinturk Road is just seriously fast. Not that surprised either. You know, with Liam, he often, I tend to think, even though there are exceptions, I think Ballymac Waltz showed terrific early pace and held on the other night. There obviously are loads of exceptions in the kennel as big as Lyons, but he tends to have stamina laden greyhounds, really, really, really strong. And the bitches in particular, when they step up to 750, they tend to be seriously good at it. Kinturk Road, I think she'll win the final personally. I just think she will get first run on the 2 drawn inside her in the final. I think that might be enough.
Yeah, I think, although it's 750 yards, I think the start is vital. We'll go through the trap draw and then we'll have a brief chat about it. In 1 of the final will be Garfinny Blaze for Graham Holland. 2 is Hanover Phantom. 3, Kinturk Road. In 4, Newport Pier. 5, the second of the Dowling runners, Ballymacady. And out 6, Hacco Carlo. Probably not a great draw. Sarah, what's your first initial thoughts on the final? What way would you be seeing it going?
My initial thoughts is Garfinny Blaze, but after listening to Tommy, now I'm going towards Kinturk, because it is all important that break in a 750. I know they've got a long distance ahead of them, but as you know, the trap bend comes quite quick. So if you're anyway in trouble there, you're bunched for the rest of the race. So no, I won't change my mind. I'll stick with Garfinny Blaze along the rails. I think a puppy will win it, and I'll go Kinturk to be second, and I'll go Newport to be third.
There you go. There's the TriCast. Tommy, I'm just looking for the winner. I'd have a small few quid on Hanover Phantom. I just think at a massive, massive price. It's a very, very tricky race. You can't be steaming in having a big bet in this, in my opinion, because as Sarah did mention, the run to the first bend is so short, and you don't have to be a flying early patient. If you just take a flying break, you've about 60 yards to go to that first bend, and if you turn it in front, anything can happen. So I'd be with Hanover Phantom at a massive price. What about yourself?
I'd be with Kinturk Road in expectation that she'll lead. Like, if you watch the semi-final again, I mean, Hacco Carlo ran an unbelievable race. It's just the draw. If you
Yeah, out in 6 is
I
poor
don't
for
think
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's very poor. You've got like, we don't know whether Hanover Fanter can or will break. We know Kinturk Road does break. We know Newport Pier breaks. He's got quite a few to clear. I mean, it could easily be argued that Carlo was extremely lucky in the semi-finals, because every time he went to go for his run or his ground, it was just kind of taken. It just wasn't there from. He didn't get forced to check too badly, apart from maybe the second bend, which is probably of his own doing. We didn't get forced to check and lose too much ground other than that, but ran some race to constantly put up Kinturk Road to do 41.02. You would imagine both of those could break, in the right circumstances, could break 41 seconds. It's just a shame for Hakakaro that he's out that far. He probably wants a little bit of trouble early. I think Kinturk Road will win it, but I don't know what I'd have second, third. I suppose it's hard to say that Garfinny Blaze won't run into the frames to some degree, definitely. But yeah, you'll know your fate after about 3 seconds whether Hanover Phantom is in front or not.
Yeah, look, I think
Yeah.
everybody will know their fate. Just the more I look at it now, I think Haka Carlo out in 6, like Ballymacady drawn him inside in 5 is nowhere early pace. And Newport Pier, I know she flashed out last week, but usually she wouldn't have that sort of early pace. So maybe Haka Carlo, if there's a bit of trouble on the inside, you wouldn't know. But look, we wish all the finalists in the Corn Cuchulainn the very, very best. It is live next Saturday night on Racing Post Greyhound TV. A busy week coming up on Racing Post Greyhound TV. Of course, the cameras were there on Saturday night. They will be in Dundalk on Wednesday night for the time. Greyhound Nutrition International. We'll touch on that before the show finishes. But just back to Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, there was some terrific performances. It really was. It was a top class card. Sarah, just starting with you briefly, one of the trial stakes, the second race on the card, won by Ballymac Copper, not Ballymac Cooper. Just very closely named to Ballymac Cooper, the great Ballymac Cooper. But Ballymac Copper was very good. He made all in 29.63.
Yeah, he's very good. I tipped him to win. I know before we've mentioned these price. Was he 11-4 on the night? That seems a bit big. Maybe he was.
I think he was. Yeah, there was good money for Riverside Bacco in 3. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was very, very impressive. Early pace, drew clear. What more can you say? Like, again, that man Liam Dowling, like, he's gonna have a brilliant kennel of dogs now going into the Derby, because in recent years I don't think his team has been that big. I think it's decreased in maybe the last 2 years. And I think he's going to be back up with a lot of numbers now coming up to Shelbourne Park on July 28th. It's mad. It's I can't believe it's starting so early this year. Like, it's only around the corner now. Do you know what I mean? So, look, 29.63 doesn't have that much experience, so he's obviously going to improve from that. He got to the final of a stake, I think, in Kilkenny back in May, and come up to Shelbourne Park, had a race in Tralee in a sprint. And then he came into Shelbourne Park and does 29.63, and I think only his second time over 550, might have even been his first, I'm not sure, but first or second, and he's now up there with the best of them. I asked Damien Lonigan what price he introduced him to the Derby. I think he said 66, but you'll have to correct me on that one. But still, that's still each way value. Yeah, what more can you say about him? It's just very eye-catching, I thought. Look, I know you can say a lot. You can say that about a lot of dogs. He popped out, made all, 1 by 4 lengths, done the clock, easy peasy. It's to see what they do when they're in against the good ones. What can he do when he's in against Swords Rex? What can he do under pressure? Can he dig deep? Can he come from behind? Does he have to lead? We'll find these things out in the coming weeks, but I thought it was very good.
Tommy, the runner-up in that race, a very young dog called Rebel C, went off a big enough price. Only his third start in his career. Certainly caught the eye back in second place. Not sure if you've seen the race or not, but we had a good winner in Ballymac Copper, but runner-up ran well as well.
Yeah, both of them well, but like, it's an A1 550 you're talking about. Like, now, to be fair, like, there's always something that's come up through the grades, and when you go into a classic that just hadn't had the opportunities yet to prove how good it is. So Ballymac Copper was kind of flawless without setting the world alight with sections or anything like that. Like, if he came up against Swords Rex next week, he'd be 1,000,000 to 1 to win it. But if he comes up against him in 3 or 4 weeks, you wouldn't know how good he might be. So I think like we learned that he's a fast dog, but we didn't learn a lot more than that in terms of his winning an Irish Derby.
Just must mention Gort Kelly-Nestor, who finished down the field in that race. Was speaking to Andrew Murray. Of course, everybody knows Gort Kelly-Nestor, a 2-time Derby semi-finalist, and Andrew's hoping to bring him back for a third tilt at this. He said he had a brief spell at stud, but he wasn't interested at stud. So make it at what you will, but maybe after his racing career, see him hype perk up a little bit. Tommy, you mentioned an A1 550. The next race on the night was again a trial stake, an A1. and it was won in 29.26. It wasn't a 5.25, it was a 5.50. One of the best runs we've seen in a long, long time at Shelbourne Park by Gaytime Hugo.
And didn't come away thinking I'd seen a Derby winner from that either. There was something about that. This and a couple of the other runs made me think that the track was very fast on the night. Gaytime Hugo's seriously fast. We saw that in the Curraheen Memorial. When things go right for the dog, had to battle to get by Hello Mom at the first bend, and Hello Mom, to her credit, stayed at it all the way, and definitely didn't give up. I actually thought ran a cracking race in defeat, to be quite honest about it. Gaytime Hugo shouldn't be in an A1. He's not an A1 dog. He's a full open dog, and I suppose it was taking the most of an opportunity. I wouldn't like to run down the dog, but to play down the 29.26. There's a lot of dogs who do that time when they're in when they're in a position where they're going to get around in front, or you're almost going to guarantee that they get around in front. Yes, he had to battle, but he did it time. It's pretty good. It's very good. It's extremely good time. But he's still a dog. I was in Curraheen Park the previous week. He's a dog I just don't know where I stand with, and I'm not sure I would want to trust back in him in advance of a Derby that he might get there. I'd rather wait and let him get to the latter stages on his own, and then decide whether I want to back him or not.
Yeah, fair shout. Sarah, were you impressed with Gaytime Hugo?
Yeah, it's hard not to be impressed. Like, when you look back on his form, on his third ever race, he done 29.67 for the 5.50 in Curraheen. So to be able to do that so early in your career, you'd be thinking as an owner and as a trainer, sure, that's a Derby dog. That's Derby standard on only his third effort. So look, as Tommy said, or as you said, he ran in the Connaught Kirby, he's running in Clonmel, he's running Shelbourne, he's running Curraheen. He's very versatile, he's very experienced. So, but I would have to agree with Tommy. He's one of those picks that you would like to see progress into the competition and then maybe perhaps have a wager. I don't think I'd be backing him anti-post. But look, you can argue all sorts of things. Yeah, of course they're going to do 29.26 when they're out in front and they're beating kind of the A1 dogs behind him because he's open class. He probably shouldn't have probably been in that. He's too good for it. But I don't know. I don't even know what price he is to win the Derby. I'd imagine he'd be around 33s, would he? So I don't know.
I think your initial impression is the best one to go by. And to me, visually, It didn't look like a 29.26 run. But look, the clock is there for a reason. And well done to Team Holland. A cracking run in second place by Hello One, local runner there for Liam Connor and Ray Melia. On to the next race there, race number 4, where we've seen the return of the defending Derby champion, Born Warrior. He finished back in 4th, hasn't hit the headlines as he did this time last year. What are your thoughts, first of all, on Born Warrior?
I was sad. I want to see him back to his best. Everyone does.
Everyone does, yeah.
I don't know, it's hard for me to say because we're not the ones at home with him in the kennel. And Jennifer said it to me a few weeks ago. He needs a lot of runs to get back to his best. He's just that type of dog. It's not that there's anything wrong with him or he's injured or he's not bothered. It's just he needs to get a good few runs under his belt. Will he win back-to-back derbies? No. At this point in time, judging by his recent form, no. And I love the dog. Absolutely love him. I don't want to put him down. But he has to start doing something soon for me to be able to say, do you know what, he has a huge chance of defending his crown. I just want to see him run well. I want to see him perform. I want to see him back to his best. I want to see him putting it up against the other top dogs. And on Saturday night, I don't think he was able to do it. In a million years, Deadly Showtime would not beat Born Warrior. Let's be honest about it. So yeah, I just want to see him back to his best. It wasn't an awful performance. Don't get me wrong. What was he beating?
Beating about 5.5
ish. Yeah. So, and it was a weak enough race. So I don't know. I don't really know what more you can say. I just hope we see him. She'll probably need to run him every week now. Give him a week off before the Derby. I don't know what their plans are. I'm not the expert in that department, but yeah, will we see him back to his best? What do you think? Do you think we'll see him back to his best?
Look, I know the longer run to the bend will suit him, and I know there's a lot of people were impressed with him. I wasn't totally impressed with him, but you just can't write him off because he's probably a different dog over 5.50. But looking at the way he's finishing, you'd say he doesn't need to step up an extra 25 yards. But look, he should be further clear of the opposition with the longer run to the bend. Tommy, there was plenty of early pace in the race. I was a little bit disappointed with Another Holiday. He was one of the dogs I had a bet on the night. I thought he should have drove through at the first bend and led, but in fairness to Deadly Showtime, he was brave, similar to Trinity Junior, and he burst his way through for Curraheen Park and emerged a good winner.
Yeah, there's another Holidays kind of dog. He's kind of his career punctuated with gaps between races and things like that, and you just don't know what you're going to get. He's obviously had some issues along the way, or he must have, I assume. Born Warrior, I thought ran fine to about the fourth bend even. I actually thought he was running a bit better than I had expected when I saw the result first. He tried hard in behind him. It's funny to say a Derby dog isn't really sharp enough for five. Or Derby winner isn't sharp enough for 5-2-5. The only concern, and you touched on it there, the only thing that concerned me was the last 25 yards. I thought he was fading away a bit, which I didn't like. I don't think at this stage of the year that the Derby is around the corner, that's what he should be doing. I think he should be giving everything to the line. And it's not that you want him exhausting himself or anything like that, but I would have been quite happy if you stopped the video at the fourth bend and thought, yeah, you know what, he gave a good bit there and there was a nice spark. It just means rather than there being 2 weeks to him being back to as good as he can be this year, it'll probably be 3, 4, 5 weeks. He probably might need a little bit of luck to qualify to a couple of rounds of the Derby. Hope that he gets kind of easy heats and who knows after that, because I don't think he's a million miles off. I don't think he's a million miles away from being off the best. I don't see any reason why he can't be close to his best. Looking at that the other night, I just would like him to be a bit further forward now, looking into the Derby.
Right, we're a bit pressed for time. Tommy, we will stay with you for the fifth place on the cards. It was the Ross Canaran Traceability System Open 550. And here we've seen Clonbrien Treaty, the Kirby winner, emerge a very, very good winner indeed. I thought once Magical Cuba broke like he did, he was going to be very tough to pass. But Clonbrien Treaty slipped through on the inside off the second bend and ran out a most impressive winner over Droopy's one stop. Magical Cuba was slightly hampered halfway down the back straight and back in fourth place. Right Hope Beach flying home, but he needs to brush up on the starting. What were your thoughts on the fifth place, Tommy?
I wasn't surprised to see what Magical Cuba did. I thought it was a replay of the previous week. Popped out very wide, gave away a lot of ground as usual. Didn't exactly accelerate out of the second bend again. I don't think Magical Cuba is the same dog he was. He's doing a fast time, a very fast time, type of time that none of my greyhounds will ever do or have ever done or will ever do. But at the same time, he's just not showing the same spark that's building on the promise he showed last year. Clonbrien Treaty is going to be a puzzle. I'm in the camp who thinks he's good enough to win a Derby, and just wouldn't be surprised if it all clicked and he popped out every night and won a Derby doing it off the front. But if I don't back him, I know he's going to be a thorn on my side if I back something else. I wasn't wildly impressed by the run the other night. I disliked the fact that he missed the kick. I'm not entirely happy with the way he tracked the first bend, in the sense that he actually did a clever thing in going inside, because obviously Magical Cuba was a very wide greyhound. But there's something that makes me uncomfortable about that, because in another situation where there's a Magical Cuba in the race and there's another fast dog inside, what are we going to get? Or down the centre of the track, is he going to get himself in a whole pile of trouble? Like he's doing 29.51, which I didn't think it was 29.51. It's a bit like you said about the previous race. I thought this was more of a, if they had come up with 29.80, I would have said, yeah, that's about right, to be honest about it. So he's got immense ability, Clonbrien Treaty. I've no doubt he's good enough to win a Derby. It's just finding that consistency. But like Graham Holland will know what he's doing here. I mean, the dog did a 28.0 in the semi-final of the Produce Stakes and got beaten in the final. And I wasn't that surprised he got beaten. I think I said on here that after that run, because it came a bit out of the blue in that competition, I said during that I wasn't sure what to expect in the final. I didn't immediately think, geez, he's going to do 28.05 again in the final. I didn't think that because I had been watching his previous runs as well. I wasn't sure about him down to the third bend in Clonmel. He seemed not to know where he was going half the time, or not really drive the bend. So I have question marks about him, and yet I'm afraid of my life of him if I go against him, that he's going to be the one that comes out and wins the Derby, and we'll be going, yeah, we knew he was seriously fast. Sure, he showed it to us in Limerick.
Yeah, he's very, very quick, and the fact that he's a wild seed means he's always going to get trap 6 for most of the heat. Sarah, another dog, if he goes for the Derby, and I'm sure he will, who would likely get trap 6, was a Ballymacwall, who won the BoyleSports Champion Plate Race 9, just holding off the big strong finish of Optic Chico with Churchtown Sid back in third. He's shown lots of early pace, Ballymacwall, and I believe I heard he was 80 to 1 with some firms during the week. That looks like a big price to me.
80-1, Janie Mack, yeah. Yeah, he was very good. I fancied him big time. Again, another great price, 11-4. There was terrific value in that final. And there was actually terrific value in the Champion Stakes Final as well. It's just they're very competitive races. Unfortunate what happened to Beeper's Lariat. She seemed to just get impeded or something down the back.
Yeah,
he was in a really good spot. Because I really like that dog, and he was brilliant over in Toaster, and he won, I think it was the first round or the second round or something. So the celebrations from the lads, it's great to see, isn't it? Like a group of young lads in the game and being able to travel across the pond. But yeah, very good from Ballymacwalt. Another of Liam Dowling's tremendous army that he has. But 29.39 as well, a very, very good time. So yeah, he's right up there with the best of them for the Derby. And just quickly on Clonbrine Treaty, he's now only 12-1 from 16 as well. And I fully agree with Tommy. I was like that at the first bend, going, oh my God. And he just got away with it. But yeah, I know you're running out of time, but I just wanted to mention his price. But yeah, I actually thought a lot of Churchtown Sid as well. He finished third to Ballymacwalt. I think he was bumped in the run up. He didn't really get a true run, but he's a lot of pace, that dog. Keep an eye on him.
He does. He won the GRI Summer Open, the valuable competition in there. And Optic Chico was flying home back in second place. He should go a long way in the Derby. Down to Cork on Saturday night, we had the semi-finals of the Shelley Fennelly Memorial 5-5 Bitch Stake. The first semi-final was won by Breeders Wood in a fast 28-33, just beat Gold Cash Ice, who was flying home with Strike at Alice back in third place. And the second semi-final was won again in fine style by Up the Style. She made all in 27.94 plus 10, an estimated 28.04. Ballymac Run was back in second, and the evergreen Scooby Duchess back in third place. The final of that event is on Saturday night. The trap draw: Breeders Wood in 1, Ballymac Run 2, Scooby Duchess in 3, Gold Cash Ice in 4, Up the Style out in 5, who's sure to go off favourite, and Strike at Alice out in 6. Sarah, your thoughts on the final of the Shelley Fenney Memorial?
Oh, all eyes are on trap 5. Up the Style. What a tremendous litter, like that Pastano and Lock. You could just incredible. Go on for days talking about them, couldn't you? Marvelous. Robert Gleeson as well. I like to see him with a good dog or bitch in this instance. 8 wins from 11 starts. The clock is there, 28.04. Quick away, always led, doing everything right. She just needs to continue that now, and I think the 5,000 prize money will be hers, or for the owners, the Dobbs. Yeah, very, very impressive. I do really like Ballymac Run, and obviously she has the experience as well, but I don't think she'd be as fast away up to that bend as Up the Style. So I think it's just a case of her popping out and making all. I think it'll be that easy. I don't know what you think, Tommy.
Yeah, well, Tommy, I'll just say she really caught my eye last week in the semi-final. I thought she was excellent. And we know bitches have a real good record in the Derby. Recently, we've seen a 1-2 a couple of years ago. And yeah, this one caught my eye. I think if she goes to the Derby, she could go a long way. She's got some huge early pace.
She'd done a 28.09 trial. And the comments in the trial were stumbled at traps and doing 28.09 in Cork. That's ridiculous stuff. The only thing is, she never got away from the runners the other night, really. I mean, she got she probably had her greatest advantage, maybe going to the third bend, maybe 3 lengths, maybe not much more than that, 3.5 lengths. Ballymac runner on a cracker. I just wonder if Breeders Wood breaks as well as it did last week, and it just could be an interesting final. It could set it up for the likes of Gold Cash Ice, who is ridiculously fast as well. It's, I have to say, and I'd be a detractor a lot of the time when it has to be said, but at the moment the quality of racing in Curraheen Park week on week is extremely good, and it's great to see.
Yeah, cracking final there on Saturday night. Wednesday night at Dundalk, the Racing Post Greyhound TV cameras will be there once again for the third time in 7 days, where we have the final of the Time Nutrition Dundalk International. We have a bit of an international feel to it this time for a change. We've got 2 English runners. Cochise, he was third in the English Greyhound Derby, and Brookside Richie, who runs from trap number 3. The lineup is Cochise is in 1, in 2 Ballymac Whisper, 3 Brookside Richie, Bobsleigh Dream in 4, Rahamofo 5, and Ballinabola Ed. Your odds on 4-5 favourite out in trap 6. Sarah, what are your thoughts on the Dundalk International? I'm sure you'll be there on Wednesday night.
I'll be there. I'm going with my dad. We're buzzing for it. Dad's actually going to go to the horse racing as well. So it's a terrific day in Dundalk. But I mean, automatically, it's easy to tip the favourite. I always say that. But I mean, you just have to be drawn immediately to Ballinabola Ed in trap 6. Look, what did he win recently? He's the Race of Champions winner, the RPGTV 600. He's in incredible form. I think he's in the form now that I would like to have seen him in last year coming into the Derby. So I think that's why he's so short. I think he's only now 14-1 to win the Derby. So he's just off the favourite. I think Cuchulainn is the favourite. So I think he'll win it. 4-5. I mean, yeah, it's short. If you're looking for a bit of value, you probably have to look towards maybe Ballymacwhisper. Like, has Cochise and Brookside Ritchie even had trials there? Like,
I don't think so, no.
I don't know. So you can't possibly tip them. You can't. And I know a lot of people are saying Cochise, because Dundalk is obviously that big galloping track, that will suit him. So you could argue that the 20-1 is great value if you fancy backing him, if you're just looking for value in the race. But honest to God, I can't see anything beating Ballinabuled. I think Bobsleigh Dream is, look, she's terrific. Obviously, she's to Sarwich and she's gotten the Oaks final and the Ledger, and she's an absolutely sensational bitch. But I'd like to see her lead here. If she leads, it's all over, but I can't see her lead. She's very inconsistent at the traps. She's not reliable in that sense. So I think it's all about Ed. But it's a cracking race. Like, I absolutely love this race. Has a special place in my heart because Accardello was only beaten that much back in 2009. So it means the world to me, this race. 20 grand for one race. Invitation. It's tremendous to see 2 UK raiders coming over. That's what you want to see. That's what it's all about. 3 bitches, 3 dogs. It's going to be a fantastic night, a fantastic support and cards. There's a Derby trial stake in there as well. So I think it's all about Ballinabuled. Pat Buckley's having a good year, and I think Ballinabuled is going to make it even better.
I remember that night in 2009 because I had an absolute disaster down in Dundalk. I swore I'd never go again, but I was down there about 3 or 4 days later on. Tommy Ballinabuled, he's 8 from 8 since December last year. Of course, then he won the race at the Winter Racing Festival, but he's really taken his form to a new level in 2023.
He has. I'm like Sarah, I can't really see beyond him, even though you have Bobsleigh Dream and Raham Mofo in the race. He's just in such good form. It's an age since he was beaten. I think he thinks himself a bit too much, Ballinabuled, Ed, and I think the switching of a track is a big plus for the likes of him, for that natural ability to just come through. He thinks his way through a race. Like I thought it was funny actually. I thought the point that Sarah touched on there a minute ago. I thought it was quite funny that in a few places, Cuchulainn is short enough for the Derby. This morning, which was a bit of a surprise considering all that went on Saturday night, or I might tell a story about all that went on Saturday night in Shelbourne Park. Ballinabuled, Ed, even if he wins the Dundalk International, shouldn't really shorten up any more than he is, but you can almost guarantee he'll be below 5-1 at some stage to win the Derby. That's just the type of dog he is. Raham Mofo, now, I kind of might be a bit unfair now, but she's been around quite a while. She's had a lot of racing. She's been an absolutely stunning bitch, and I just think that maybe for her to be switching tracks just livens her up a little bit and just keeps her interested. She's been around a while. She's been at the top level a long time. I thought she ran a phenomenal race. I mean, I can't even understand how she did it in the final in Tralee, where she was only beaten 3 lengths by Ballinabuled when she wasn't entitled to, within 10 lengths of the way the race started. And I mean, at halfway, you think she's out with the wash, and if she gets a place, she'd be lucky. She's in phenomenal form as well. So look at it. It's not a penalty kick, but it's hard. It's hard with the fact that Ballinabuled starts, stays, minds his line the whole time. Is versatile with regard to track, trip, the whole lot. He's kind of a bulletproof kind of dog. Until you ask him to run 6 times in the same track, and then you might learn a thing or two about him again. So I think he'll win this and set himself up for a good run to Derby. Would I love it if he went on to win the Derby? I think I would, because it would finally tell us, it would. We know what he is ability wise, but to actually put a Derby at the end of all he's done so far this year would be ridiculously good. It'd be one for the ages. So I hope he wins this in style and goes on and has a huge Derby campaign.
Yeah, it's a cracking race again, kindly sponsored by Time Greyhound Nutrition. I think all 6 have some sort of a chance. Like, you don't get to an English Derby final and finish third if you're no use. Cochise in there at 20-1, and Brookside Ritchie, he can fly out on his day. He's very, very capable. Of course, we know what Bobsleigh Dream and Raham Mofo can do, and you can never discount Ballymacwhisper. The action will get underway. The first race is due off there at 7:28 on Wednesday evening. Don't forget, they have horse racing down there before. A huge crowd, as always, expected at Dundalk this Wednesday evening. But that's it from us here this evening. My thanks to Sarah Kinsella, to Tommy Lyons. Don't worry, Ian Fortune will be back next week. Until then, have a good week.